Hello everybody, I kind of wanted to do a little update on our flyer quest that we've got going on while we're doing some load development on our old long barrel 223 Wylde. As we're going along, we're finding different pieces of information. We have things we know, we have things we don't know, and I'm pretty much narrowing down that list of things that we don't know. We've been monitoring all this brass pretty good and working on this brass pretty hard. So I think last time we had a couple with some found some split neck, not major splits like I've seen, just real hairline fractures in them. So we're going to deal with that a little bit, hopefully, and continue on with our load development. But I really wanted to get into what might be possibly happening with these flyers. So stay tuned and let's move on with this quest and see what we've learned. This is that case that split on us. It's got about 1/8 of an inch. Just a real fine split in there. We've worked hardened this stuff probably pretty good. Loading it, I've shot it a few times. I'm actually going to try to see if I can get in anneal these things a little bit, kind of soften them up. I'm not an expert at doing this, but let's try this one. It's already messed up. And I'm going to try to keep these things separated as much as I can. I'm trying to keep them in order. I did find another one that was split as well. So those are the two split guys. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. Just barely getting a little color change on them. One, two, three, four. And we'll see if that helps. Alright, we've loaded up some more 223 rounds for our next go about. Let's check the run out on these loaded cartridges and see if kind of interesting results we're getting, if any. It looks like a bunch. Six thousandths. Is that what I'm seeing? 7. I gotta be careful how I do this. Let's say 6 thousandths. And that little bugger there. Now I've done a run out on the brass. and I'm getting about a thousandths just off the neck, so the brass is pretty straight. Guy there. You might be wondering about my little device here. It's actually kind of a home crafted little piece. So it's not something you're going to see on the market. Doesn't have any fancy rollers on it. Doesn't have any bearings with any backlash plug. Let me just bump the hell out of it. But it does have some nice consistency about it. Oh, look at that one. That's wonderful looking. Five, 6, 7. We'll go with 8. 8 thousandths run out in that little bugger. Really kind of makes you wonder. One, 2, 3, 4. That's a little better than most of them. 4 thousandths. Wonderful. Reflecting back on our run out issues we were having, I decided to take a peek at these dies. Of course, I actually went through the effort to make sure I had the dies set up properly simply by reading instructions, and decided to take them apart and have a little look-see at what's going on. This is the bullet seating die. It had that nifty little plunger to help line everything up. Here's actually the bullet seater stem. So when this plunger, when you set your cartridge on there and go down in there, then it plunges down to seat the bullet properly. Well, this die comes in and basically there's a relief in there, and it just comes down in on the neck and catches a little bit of the shoulder. So it's not completely lining that brass up directly straight. So depending on how it comes down in there. So I wanted to look and see how tight the hole was for a bullet. And it looks pretty snug. I mean, I can set my finger over there and seal it off. and it drops down slowly, so it's not a big air gap in there. It does feel fairly snug. The projectile itself kind of barely fitting on there. It's a little hinky, but if everything's straight, it should push it down on there straight. The body itself has nothing at all to hold the brass. It is just all doing it off the neck. So that may be why we're getting some of our run-out readings that we were getting. I also loaded some up with my RCPS die, and it seats in there a lot further and holds the brass a lot better. There's a little bit of play in there, not as much as that neck would give me, but it kind of holds things in there as it goes in kind of straight. And the stem is shaped a little bit different, especially for maybe these long pointy things. And it actually has a lot better feel. It goes down on there a little further and has a lot better feel on holding the bullet in there. But when I was using this die to see some bullets, it actually had a little bit less run out on them. They were more in the line of 4 thousandths run out, where this thing here was giving me a pretty consistent 5 and 6 thousandths run out. Been monitoring this brass pretty good. Trying to see what's going on with our little flower situation. Weighed everything, compared speeds every time I shot it to see if it had something to do with the case weight. The links were all measured out, the shoulders were all measured out. See if there was anything different with that. Second firing, or third firing in this case on these things, those were all noted as well. And we got some run out numbers on the loaded rounds, and we're going to use those to compare them with our speeds and our groups and our flyers and see if that's got anything to do with it. And while we're at it, we're going to try some different primers and see if they'll make a difference. What do we know? We know that our different weight cases can't point a finger to them as a flyer. The speeds, the variation in speeds, I can't point to them as a flyer. Yeah, I'll get some of the faster ones out, but I'll get the same speed bullet in, and the run out on it is not much different, or not showing me any difference. The case lengths are pretty close in size. The bullets all weighed the same. I've actually gone through and weighed all these Sierra bullets, and they all weighed exactly the same. Thumbs up to them. The powder, I'm very careful on how I'm putting that powder in there. I'm actually watching 1 and 2 pieces of powder fall in that tray until I can change the scale to the next increment, which is in 1/2 of a tenth. So I can sneak up on that exact tenth. I know we're in a nice node. I can vary around in that powder range and still have some pretty good results, but I'm still getting a pretty good size difference in my extreme spread. Every now and then it'll fall in, like this one here with a 15, extreme spread of 15. You know, that's not bad, but you know, with one a few more pieces of powder in it, it's 43. A few less pieces of powder in it, it's even faster. So what I don't know is why I have so much difference in these speeds. You know, I would think that the volume of the cases would be denoting the fact that they're faster or slower, but I've been shooting the same powder load in the same cases, and each time I fire them I'm getting a different result out of it. It'll either lay in the group or it'll be a flyer. It's all seems like it's completely random. So what we don't know is why do we have the big variation in speeds. What we thinking is probably got a lot to do. These groups probably got a lot to do with the shooter, the old nut behind the wheel, so to speak. So we're going to be changing some of our setups here in the future, trying different things, and I may end up going back to our little base that we've got and a sandbag in the back. That stock's not the greatest on the back of that AR for a sandbag, but I might rig something up. So we're going to try these other primers. We got some match primers. We're going to see if they can make a difference in some of our standard deviation or extreme spread, and go for theirs. But right now I've got nothing actually pointing to these dang flyers jumping out of there, other than just the fact that I think it's probably the shooter.